Hello, everyone. Welcome to Riffin with HB. I know you guys aren't used to seeing us this time of the day on Thursdays, but we're doing an episode of Riffin with HB today at this time to see if you guys like it. And if you do, we'll continue to do it. Normally, our show is on Saturday at 2 p.m. EST. So, yeah, this coming Saturday, we're covering the band Cake. So, I wanted to keep true to that and just put a little stranger in today's place. If you guys aren't familiar, what we do, we talk about old school and underrated bands and we try to bring them to the masses. And today, talking about Little Stranger, they're a band that's formed in 2015, one of my favorite bands. So I try to always highlight two prominent bands. Little Stranger and Prof is another band because they're super underrated, great bands. When you start to listen to them, they have a style that if you don't like rap, they have reggae. If you don't like reggae, they have R&B. They don't stick to a genre and they mix it up a lot. So that's what I like them. They're one of my favorite bands. Sorry. So if you're not familiar with how this works, what we do, I just get into the fundamentals and the facts of the bands and tell you guys where they're from, how the name is formed, who the band members are, and stuff like that. And then I kind of break down my rendition of what I think and my musical input as far as personal preferences to the band and styles and stuff like that. So you guys will see how it works. If you guys have any comments for bands along the way that you want to see, drop them in the comments, and I'll be glad to add them to my list. That's another reason why we decided to do this twice a week because I have such a growing list, and it would take me years to complete this list. So we're just gonna speed it up. Cool. As you guys see here, these are the guys, Little Stranger, John and Kevin Shields. They have the same last name, they're not related. We'll get into that. Formed in Charleston, South Carolina. They're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and their name originally, they met in high school, and we'll also get into that as well. Their name, Little Stranger, is from the production company founded by Tina Fey, derived from its name as a rough English translation from her mother's maiden name. It's Xenakis. It's spelled Xenakis. Xenakis, meaning stranger or newcomer. So it's a rough translation of that. Obviously, Tina Fey is known for 30 Rock and shows like Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt as well. The band's name, Little Stranger, also serves as a motto, kind of, for their whole idea is pushing the boundaries on creating music that's outside of the norm. And as you'll see whenever you listen to their music, that's what they try to. Their name is true to their music. They definitely are strange, but really good and definitely hip hop inspired. As I get into my notes here, they're kind of represented as the hip hop Simon and Garfunkel, if you will. All right, let me pull up some notes on my phone here, you guys. Thank y'all for being here. Pull up the comment board so I can see you guys. All right, let's just start from the beginning. Little Stranger is an indie hip hop duo from Philadelphia and Charleston, is where they were formed. Composed of best friends Kevin and John Shields, even though they're unrelated. Often dubbed the hip hop Simon and Garfunkel due to their unique blend of melodic, folk inspired, and high energy rap styles. They are known for their sound similar to the Gorillaz and Beck, featuring fast rapping acoustic guitars and synths. And we're going to talk a little bit about how they got their Gorillaz inspiration as well too. The duo combines indie, alternative hip hop, and reggae influences, often using beat machines alongside acoustic elements. So if you've heard of these guys, you probably heard of them through Sugar Shack Sessions or some of the reggae community. They travel with a lot of the guys like Tropodelic and G Love and people like that. Originally a side project, they gained momentum through intensive touring, playing over 100 shows a year. They're known for their eccentric music videos and their own TV program LSTV. We were just watching something earlier, actually. They've worked with artists such as Bumping Uglies, The Elevators, and Greaves, a couple more people they've worked with. And they've performed at major festivals including Lollapalooza, the Governor's Ball, and Reggae Rise Up. I believe they're playing this year, if I'm not mistaken. Go check that out. Born and raised in Philadelphia, crash landed in Charleston, Kevin and John Shields are breaking into previously uncharted waters with their quirky indie hip hop group, Little Stranger. Between John's melodic singer songwriter magnetism and Kevin's in your face delivery, an overall undeniable groove, this duo is sure to get any audience up and moving. And they definitely do. If you listen to their music, it makes you want to dance. Stylistically reminiscent of the Gorillaz and the Odelay era Beck, Little Stranger delivers a fresh take on melodic hip hop. Every track brings the uniqueness and strangeness that their name implies. For the past few years, the duo has perfected their live performances by playing over 100 shows a year prior to the coronavirus shutdown, and probably even now, I would imagine, because this is an older article. The group also puts a big focus on creating artistic visual experiences through their music videos, which you guys should check out on YouTube after the show. And their own eccentric television program, LSTV, and in-house graphics. Between their out-of-the-box creative endeavors and an ever-increasing arsenal of new tunes, Little Stranger is posed to make 2025 another slam dunk. So yes, this is the past year. Okay. This talks about how they met right here. Appreciate you guys being here, by the way. We're doing Riffin with HB. We normally do the show on Saturdays, but we're cramming it in today. So you guys follow along. Starting with a Little Stranger. They were brothers. John and Kevin met in high school, in freshman biology class, and they sat alphabetically. So that's how they got to know each other. Apparently, I was just watching an interview. Despite sharing some of the last name Shields, they are not biologically related. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, now they're like brothers. It's insane. Their first tour was in a vehicle. It was a 2012 Hyundai Sonata. That's really crazy. They were touring the world in a car, doing what really aspiring musicians, some of the best ones, do to make it big. Go through the grit and the grime of trying to make it be big for years and years and grinding up. That's why I'm shouting these guys out. It's a big reason why I started this show is because these guys are so underrated. They deserve recognition. They deserve to be heard. So I'm going to help do my part. Even if it's only a few people that listen to them and help spread the word, who knows what kind of fire that could start. They were once asked to stop playing at a fraternity gig because so they could just play iPod music instead. I thought that was a fun fact because shows like, man, you have to go through those embarrassing moments of like, no one wants to hear this crap. Turn it off. They're like, God, what do we do to make a really good song? And they figured it out. And I was watching an interview where he talked about it earlier. Be putting yourself around musicians who are really good. I forget. I was just watching somebody talk about this earlier. That's what you do whenever you want to become great. You put yourself around really good people, and then it makes them want to like. You're like, dang, I love what they do, but that makes me want to be better. I have to do a little bit better, and that helps you climb that ladder together, like step by step by step. And that's exactly how he described it in the interview. I think that's beautiful. Performing over 100 shows a year, they described their chemistry on stage as having one brain. So that's exactly what we talk about with the show a lot. If you guys aren't familiar, on Saturdays we talk about how it's called music, the language of music, where people can get on stage and they're not even using words to talk to people. They know whenever to switch up the beat or to whenever to extend the solo or all these by little cues that they'll give in the songs. And if you're a musician, you can notice whenever somebody's doing a concert, they'll say things like, hey, drop it down, and the beat will slow down, things like that. You'll start to notice, and you can notice that in their music as well. Their music is a mix of indie, hip hop, reggae, as we talked about, and pop, often compared to Gorillaz and Beck. Named Hip Hop Act of the Year in 2016 by the Charleston City Paper Music Awards. That's actually how they decided to go to Charleston from Philadelphia, because he wanted to go to the beach and play music, and they figured that they could do really well playing at bars and stuff like that. And that's exactly how they blew up. Being really dedicated, putting in the work, putting in the hours, making the albums, making the songs, touring it all across the world. Kevin was previously the lead singer of his former band, the Racket Boys. And give me just a second, I'll tell you. Um, John's band was called the Long Miles. So in high school, his band Kevin was called the Racket Boys. Kevin here is on the right. John on the left was called the Long Miles. He actually had a solo band for a while called the Leaf Eaters. I'm not sure if they still do anything. I was looking earlier, found an old archive of stuff from like I think 11 or 12 years ago. I'm definitely gonna have to check that out later. It was something new to me. But hold on 1 second, I'll pull up another picture for you guys. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit from an article. This article was from about a year ago, maybe a little over a year ago, for their most recent album called Sat Around Trippin'. Great album. It's one of the ones I'm going to recommend here at the end of the show for you guys to listen to, so keep that in mind. They met in high school outside of Philadelphia. Says here that they sat next to each other in biology class, and it's because they sat alphabetically with the last name, as I mentioned. So the interviewer asked, right, brothers from a different mother. The little stranger says, yeah, so we're not related. So that's how we met, and we were friends all throughout high school, but didn't really work much together. And John and I both had high school bands, and John's band had always beat us in the battle of the bands, says Kevin. Um, so yeah, fast forward post college, I had moved to Philly, and me and Kevin would often get up and perform with each other in Philadelphia and each of our band's live shows. And we just felt like we worked really well together. So we wanted to make a side project. And it was more of my singer songwriter thing, Kevin rapping. And we started Little Stranger as a side project, and it pretty quickly evolved into what they have today. Um, and that sort of stemmed into 2015, whenever they formed. Like I was mentioning, it's about the time we actually decided to get together and form the band. To becoming a real thing, where I had planned to move back to Charleston, South Carolina, as I mentioned. So I was playing as a gigging musician there, making money in wedding bands and playing acoustic gigs at bars and stuff. And I knew I could make some money, but I wanted to tour with an original project. So kind of like offered that up to Kevin, and Kevin being one of the men committed to it. And that was the start of the whole thing, quote unquote. Obviously your history, I feel like it really showed on stage. And if you watch these guys, they definitely had that chemistry of musical language that we talked about. You guys had such a connection. It seemed very fun. I saw you guys did like 100+ shows or something within a year time frame. How do you guys keep it fun, and how do you guys keep just enjoying it? So this is where they explain about how they keep up with doing that many shows. So there's days when it feels like a grind, but the good thing is, like you said, we would play these shows that were 4 hours long or things like that, but it all helped to sharpen the blade. This is important. Where John is the maestro up there, he's the composer. He's creating the songs on the spot and kind of choosing what comes next. So a lot of the times he will throw curveballs my way, and I'm not expecting things, or things that I'm not prepared to possibly do. But you do find yourself making sure that you're always ready for anything, and that's what makes it fun, because it's like we can write a set now, and when it goes off the rails, that's almost fun for us. But it's a trust. It's a trust. We have a respect for each other and each other's musical abilities to be able to handle any scenario that makes it fun and easy. Like there's not a oh, I'm changing up. You're not going to be able to handle you're not going to be able to handle it. It's like we're both ready at all times. And that's how you know you're a maestro at what you do. Be able to just switch it up on the beat. Be able to, like, yeah, the crowd's not feeling this. How about we switch the songs up and we'll change our set list to what we did before? And that takes a lot of practice, doing these 100 shows every single year, 100+ shows for that matter. He said, yeah, I think it's like a two-folding thing of not really trusting each other's ability to perform live and keep things off the cuff. But that also goes that's a production of our friendship and how we relate to each other on a day-to-day basis, because everything we do is basically like trying to take a joke to the furthest place it can possibly go, just like music. And that's all. Um, and all of that is like being off the cuff as well. Yeah, and truly, like Kev said, we did 4 years of just doing 100 plus shows a year that year, doing bar gigs, and nobody helped us get that good at working together. I talked about this on the show on Saturday, you guys. People have to. It's hard enough for two people to get along and have the same frame of mind, much less to get along, have the same frame of mind, and play music good together. And that's what these guys do. They built a brothership first, and then realized they were good at playing music together. Then that creates the perfect duo because you basically share a mind, living with each other, thinking with you. They're basically brothers. I mean, how crazy that they have the same last name. I think it's very bizarre. Check some comments real fast. Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for stopping by, Mello. Yeah, they definitely got talent, man, 100%. Because first, they're putting we, sometimes you're born with music ability. Sometimes you have to work for it. But when you're born with music ability and you work for it, it only gets so much better for sure. All right, so your music has a lot of reggae and hip hop influence. So you guys are gonna notice this if you listen to them. How did that sound kind of come together? What was the stuff you guys were already doing in high school? Or sorry, what was the stuff that you guys were already doing in high school, or what? Um, a bit. The band that I was in prior to this was more reggae and kind of like a reggae jam band. So I was always kind of influenced by that as a songwriter, listening to Slightly Stupid, Jack Johnson, and G Love. I was just watching an interview where you said exactly this, and that was a big influence for me. And then whenever I linked up with Kevin, we had this mutual love for gorillas, and that was kind of felt like this middle ground for melodic hip hop production with melodic choruses that meet verses, like rap verses. So you see in their song, that's kind of how they duo up to alley oop it. I mean, Kevin and I, not only like um, performance wise, but just influence wise, and what he brought, both brought him into music, seemed like both why we ended up doing the music the way we're doing it. Um, says here that they try to find a way to make hip hop track that is not only a catchy chorus, well written verse that then when the rap hip hop verse comes in, it feels like a moment itself almost. And that's how you craft and create a perfect song. I talk about this so much. But creating a good song is like creating a story. Like you don't want to just drop it in the climax of the story. You want it to like have a rising as like you have set and setting, get the feel of the song, then a rising action, then you get to the climax. For sure, man. Check them out. I have a couple recommendations if you guys wait till the end of the show, hang out, and I'll recommend some albums and some live performances from. Um, sorry, I lost my place here. Literally, I felt like I have a Danger Doom tattoo because the album is like literally the most beautiful crafting choruses that beat MF Doom's verses. So it's kind of a little bit of their influence as well. Like those weirdo verses and stuff, quote unquote, is what they said. So it's nice to have someone that we wanted to explore that, and once we started doing it, it felt really easy, and it didn't feel like we were trying to do a thing. It was like, oh shit, this is what we were really supposed to be doing. And he talked about it in the interview whenever he left from Philadelphia. He left his family, left his girlfriend, lost his job and everything to come down there to South Carolina and just do this thing. He said for a second he didn't doubt it. He felt in his gut that's what he was supposed to be doing. It was his destiny to do it. Their music is characterized by a unique blend of genres. John's background music as an acoustic songwriter with the reggae band we talked about, combined with Kevin's hip hop style, creates a sound that is described as al dente, a little bit raw, needing some work, but ultimately enjoyable. And the creative process typically begins with John's developing a guitar line, adding a bass and drums, and then passing it to Kevin to add his rap verses. They draw inspiration from various sources, including 90s hip hop, 90s basketball, and artists like Justin Timberlake. And then I could talk a little bit about how they got their inspiration directly from the Gorillas. Now, one of the references, sorry, that I have for listening to them is a Sugar Shack live performance, and on that performance, as they're performing a cover of the Gorillas song, Clint Eastwood, and it also has Beck in there as well. Pretty cool, Loser. To combine the songs together, it's a smooth transition. It really shows like how good they are musicians. But anyway, I'm skipping ahead. But in that song, he talks about how they got their inspiration from the Gorillas, and somebody came up to them too. And the X Games in around 2000, it says 99 or 2000. Um, and I think you remember him saying in the video 2000 that somebody came up to him and handed him a CD at the concert for the Gorillas because they were playing at the show that day. And there's a few other bands' inspiration as well. I'll get into in a second. But whenever he listened to that CD, whenever he got home, it changed his life forever. He wanted to be somebody like sounded like that and had that emotion, that weirdness to their sound. When you listen to them, you're going to definitely feel the inspiration of Beck and Gorillaz in their music. Um, so it says here that they have started an early formative experience with Gorillaz at the X Games as their inspiration for them starting to play music. Kevin Shields mentioned attending an X Games in Philadelphia around 1999 or 2000, which served as an early introduction to the virtual band Gorillaz. Because as you guys know, they have characters, and it's actually the singer from Blur. We will cover Blur and Gorillaz in a dual show later on in the future. But yeah, they're basically a virtual band of these characters, and that's how they got their start. And the experience, along with other influences like Beck and Outkast, helped shape the electric sound of Little Stranger, which the duo often describes as incorporating alternative hip hop melodic elements. Little Stranger has been known to cover Gorilla songs in their live performances and paying tribute to the group that influenced their childhood. What a good shout out. All right, guys. I've babbled and babbled about all the facts and details that I can give you. I'm going to finally give you my own rendition of what I think about the band. Let me get into some comments real fast before I do. Switch the picture here. Appreciate you guys for being here on a Thursday. I know it's out of whack, but maybe we'll get used to it. Mike, cheers for being here. Oreo, Sam. Thanks, guys, for lurking in the chat. Cool. Cool. Now we can talk music. Be free for a second here. I got some notes, but these are from me, not from the internet. So I was watching the interview and they were talking about how they make music, just to keep making. That's why they did 100 plus shows a year, because they kept making songs and creating songs and just hoping that something would stick. I talk about this so much because if you guys are an artist of any kind, like a painter or a musician or anything that you do, you know that I talked about this in the show on Mystic Journeys, that whenever you do something, it's going to take the first 100 times you do it are going to be way crappier than the last 100 times you do it. So you got to learn how to stick with it and keep moving forward to know that you're going to get a gem out of something that you finally do. And they talked about that you got to keep making and making and making to finally get something good. And that's what you finally get. And also for them, they're making so many songs that what you get on an album is them collaborating their idea of putting an album together. So if it doesn't fit the vibe, it might be a really bomb ass song, maybe even a better song than any song of an album. But if it doesn't fit, they'll have to wait for a different album to come along and fit that into their album. Where that's a lot different than a painter, or it kind of has the same similarity to people who write comedy jokes, right? Because they can't just have an off the wall joke. Like, it has to be fitting the set and flow with the whole comedy set. So sometimes you have to wait and save that joke for a later day, or that song for a later day. Same concept. They don't stick to a genre. I talked about this, and that's what I like to do in my music. Whenever I create music, I don't like to hold myself to one genre. There's definitely a lot of hip hop influence in my songs, but I like to switch it up and do some R&B and some reggae and different things. Whatever I can try to, it's like trying to fit a circle in a square hole. It's like, if it works, it works. But if it doesn't fit in the triangle hole, I don't try to force it. I just try to see what my mind and voice are capable of doing. What inspired me to start writing music, I just kept hearing songs over and over. Like, I could just do something with that, create something. That's inspired these guys back in 2015 to finally put this band together, because they had been writing songs together since high school, and they finally, made it. They can only get bigger from here. You guys are going to hear about them if you haven't heard about them yet. One of the quotes here that they have is "No one likes you, we don't care." They say that before a show. You'll hear them chanting this in some of their. They just released a documentary. You should go check it out. Little Stranger documentary. I forget the name of the documentary. I just watched it this morning though. It was really super great. But that's what they were chanting before a show, that no one likes you, we don't care. So in the interview I just watched, they explain why they say this, because whenever you're making it big, no one's gonna care who you are. They're not gonna like you. They're not gonna listen. They're not gonna want to listen to your stuff. It's exactly what I talked about with the iPod thing. No one wanted to hear their music. They would rather listen to whatever music they wanted to listen to. So it's better not to force it down their throat. We do the same thing here on Mystic Journeys, and everything I say in my life, I feel that same way. It's like, if you don't want to hear it, you don't have to hear it. But I don't care. Like, you're not gonna like what I have to say, then I don't care. Or you're gonna like what I say, and I don't care. I'm still gonna say whatever I have to say and be who I am and write the music that I want to write. Because whenever I first started writing music, I learned something about myself, that I take criticism not really well as I thought I would. Because I started writing these songs, and my friends, they didn't have the reaction I thought they would to the songs. They weren't really digging it per se. So I have that same reaction. Like, you know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna write the music that I'm gonna write, and I don't care if I cuss too much or not enough, or if the story's not intricate enough, or if the beat's not fucking pumping enough for you guys. I'm not trying to get radio play. I really write music for myself, and if you check online, you can't find a single song I posted anywhere except for my personal Discord, because of that exact reason. Because I'm not trying to show off to anybody. Um, but I will end up. Oh, sorry. I think I was muted. You guys, let me know if you can hear me now. Yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, I was mentioning that I'd watched an interview with David Bowie where he was talking about how anybody that wrote a song for somebody else, it didn't really sound good, or anybody that let a song write a song for them, it didn't sound good. So it's important to really write a song for yourself and make sure that you're doing it for you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for letting me know. Yeah, sorry about that. Um, yeah, but a couple albums that you guys should check out by Little Stranger. We're gonna wrap this up here in just a couple minutes anyway. Thank you guys for showing up. Buddha and the Beast is a great album to start off. If you guys want to just start off with something, that's the one I kind of recommend to people to start with. Um, a great album is called Sat Around Trippin', if you guys want to check that out. How I got started with Little Strangers, I discovered them on Sugar Shack Sessions, and it was Coffee and a Joint. So there's a whole 4-song set, I think, on there of Sugar Shack where they're doing the Clint Eastwood and Gorillaz cover, and Beck cover of Loser as well. Um, and a couple shout outs I wanted to give as well. I wanted to give some shout outs to a couple of the people that they tour with, and this is not, of course, everybody they play with, but a couple of their close friends. Damn Skippy, he's a Charleston-based rapper. He's actually from Colorado. He was an amateur snowboarder, and he ended up getting a couple knee injuries, so he ended up bailing and going to music. So he's a really great rapper. You should check him out. Um, Jarv is another guy. His name is JRV Jarv. He's Brooklyn-based MC from Vermont who began music in 2009. Damn Skippy from 2019. I forgot to mention that. Sorry, by the way. Andy Frasco, who has a band called Andy Frasco and the UN, which is an American blues rock band that formed in 2007. You got to check out Andy Frasco. He makes some good music. He actually has a couple songs with Little. All these guys have songs with Little Stranger. If you want to check out Damn Skippy, check out ABCDs by Damn Skippy. It's inspired by the Black Alicious alphabetic aerobatic or aerobics. Sorry, and it's kind of
he raps through the letters of the alphabet using A, B, C, D all the way through. It's really fucking cool. Shows you what people are capable of whenever they combine mental intelligence with music. It's like Beethoven for rap, if you will. Really, it makes you think like, dang, this is really intricate. It makes you step up your game as a musician. You're like, I have to step up my game because these guys, anybody can rap, anybody can play country, anybody can play reggae and box themselves up, but to be able to dance around and all of them in one song, especially, it's incredible. It really shows the musical flexibility of an artist. If you guys have anybody that you want to see in the chat, let me know. This is how we do the show. I got a couple more things before we get out of here, but we just basically talk about the facts of the band and we just shoot the shit. I wanted to talk about Cake out of respect for the founding member, one of the founding members passing away. He's a guitarist, so. But I wanted to start today, and I didn't want to go off my word of saying that I was going to cover them on Saturday. So we're still going to get back to them on Saturday, and then if we continue this show on Thursdays, we'll do Paramore Thursday, and then we'll go from there. I got a list right here of bands. I'll go through a couple of them, but I have a super long list. But some of the more upcoming bands here, we're going to be doing the Black Keys after Paramore. We're going to be doing Rush. We're going to be doing the Allman Brothers. We just did a Little Stranger because I crammed them up from there. We're going to be doing Prof. I talked about them. Seether, I love them a lot. And on and on. A couple more heavy metal bands, a couple more jam bands, and so on and so forth, guys. We'll be checking them out for sure. Good Rap is around again, and if you listen to their songs, they literally talk about that. Yeah. There's a song called Hollywood Not you should listen to, Sammy. Look up the song called Hollywood Not by them, and it literally talks about that. About how, damn, what's happening? Rap ain't even rapping. What's the deal with music today? That shit's so good. It talks about fucking taking Gwen Stefani and taking her out of fucking Hollywood. It's really fucking hilarious and really fucking cool, dude. You know what I mean? It's laid back, fucking chill music. You can sit there and be a stoner and listen to. Anybody can listen to this kind of music, dude. Kids, adults, stoners. I mean, it's radio play stuff, but it's also like really underground stuff too. And cheers, I thank you guys for showing up. If you guys have any requests for a band, again, drop it in the comments here live or drop it in the chat of the video afterwards, and I'll try to get to it. You can also find me on Discord, you guys know, or Instagram. You check out our links on our link tree, and you'll be able to find us as well. Yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. I got a huge list of bands. Some heavy metal bands, some more 90s bands. I want to kind of lean into some more 90s stuff. I've been covering a lot of old school bands, so it's a crazy jump from, the 60s and 70s all the way to 2015, but here we are. It's, the whole thing about this show is it's old school and underrated bands. So it's not always going to be an old school band that you can get. It's going to be some, the whole idea is I want the younger generation to learn about old school bands, and the younger generation already knows about Little Strangers. So the older generation has to do their part too, and we got to try to meet in the middle somewhere. And bands like Little Stranger and some of the more 90s bands like Linkin Park and Seether that I'm going to cover are a perfect bridge to be able to, meet together as generational. Because that's one thing that music does. It brings us together. It's a lot of a spiritual experience whenever you go to a concert. And you got to watch these guys perform live. That's an important thing. Listen to the albums that I told you, but definitely check out the Sugar Shack sessions whenever they do Coffee and a Joint. Check that out because that's watching them perform, watching them do their thing and their chemistry that they have together that they were talking about in the interviews. They really show you how musical mind works. It's musical intelligence, the language of music. I talk about this so much in this show, and we're going to keep talking about it because every single band that we've been talking about, for the most part, for the exception of maybe one or two, has talked about being able to get on stage and have this musical intelligence where it's like they have a one brain. Literally, in the notes I read, it's kind of like their one brain chemistry. So, thank you guys for showing up on a Thursday. We usually don't run very long on these shows, just however long I need to be able to cover the band, and it always differs. I never really know. I figured we would go about 30 or 40 minutes there. So, cheers. Thank you guys for being here. Seether, Rush, 100%. Yeah, let me just go through my list. If you guys want to leave, you can leave, but I'm gonna go through this list. All right, here. Again from Seether, Steve Miller, Megadeth. We got a couple others that I mentioned. Gin Blossoms, Modest Mouse, Wookie Foot, Godsmack, Rage Against the Machine, Sublime, Nirvana, Bush, Green Day, Foster the People, Linkin Park, The Police, The Presidents of the United States, Tropidelic, Dirty Heads, a couple more reggae bands, Soul Asylum, The Elevators, Candlebox, Fish, Matchbox 20, Jesse Wells, really super great guess an indie folk artist is what you would say. He plays music on YouTube and he talks about current events. And it's just him and a guitar in the woods playing. But he does have a band and he's touring a lot now. He's gotten really good. His name's Jesse Wells. Dire Straits, Three Dog Night. We're gonna do Slipknot and Stone Sour together in one video. A band called Of the Trees, which we're gonna totally switch things up. We're gonna do some EDM stuff. A lot of like music. I'm not musical music. What's the way? I guess the best way I can describe it is like EDM or bass or drum and bass kind of stuff like that. A band called Earth Gang, which is hip hop. Chevelle, Kings of Leon, a couple more rock bands. So yeah, we got a huge list, and it's only ever growing. Cheers, everyone, and I want you all to have a good night. Remember to reach out to us if you guys haven't already subscribed to us on mysticjourneyschurch.org for a membership. It's free to sign up, become part of the Mystics. Or if not, we'll see you guys Friday for agreements, or until Saturday with next Riffin with HB. We're going to cover the band Cake. So, cheers, guys, and y'all have a good rest of your night. And shout out to the little stranger. You guys fucking keep on keeping on. Y'all got to send this out to them, see what they say. Cheers, everyone. Y'all have a great night. Thanks, everyone, for being here.